Punjab has a long tradition of questioning power. Because dissent is not disorder, it is part of democratic dialogue. A democracy grows stronger when every voice can be heard.
You know, Punjab has absolutely never been a quiet place. And honestly, if you look closely at its history, it was never really meant to be. Today, we're diving into Punjab and its incredibly long, enduring habit of asking questions. We're looking at a region that is fundamentally defined by its voice. And to truly get a sense of it, we have to start by looking right down at the ground itself.
Because to understand the people here, you really have to look at the land. Just picture walking through its fields at sunrise. You go past those rows of wheat and mustard that have literally fed this country for generations. And, well, you can almost feel it in the air.
Punjab has a long tradition of questioning power. Because dissent is not disorder, it is part of democratic dialogue.
And what you feel in those fields is a very distinct restlessness. But here's the thing, it's a restlessness that isn't really rebellion, so much as it is memory. I mean, think about it. This is a region that survived the massive trauma of partition. It absorbed huge waves of migration, and it essentially buried its grief in soil that just kept producing anyway. Because of that profound resilience, questioning power didn't just happen, it became completely second nature.
I find music a useful distraction.
Now, keeping that history in mind is absolutely crucial today, especially when we see dissent so often mistaken for disorder. But Punjab's history tells a distinctly different story. It's an entire tradition of finding the actual meaning within the noise. It's about treating disagreement not as some kind of chaos to be managed, but as a deeply necessary ongoing conversation. And on the ground, you see this conversation taking so many different forms. Farmers, writers, everyday citizens, they've long treated disagreement as a conversation that simply has to be had. Sure, it can get loud, and yeah, it can get pretty uncomfortable, but it is rarely without purpose. Because at the end of the day, a tradition doesn't survive by just staying silent, right? It survives by staying honest.
So let's zoom out for a second and shift our focus from the region to the nation as a whole, specifically to the Indian Constitution. When you look at it, you see a document that understood this instinct intimately. The framers didn't just tolerate dissent. They literally built room for it. They recognized that democracy is not some finished packaged product. It's a living argument. It gets renewed every single time someone dares to stand up and ask whether power is being used fairly.
And that right there is the invisible thread connecting a physical mustard field in Punjab all the way to the Preamble of the Constitution. Both of them are living proof that a country actually grows stronger not by demanding total agreement, but by fiercely protecting the right to disagree.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound realization about the fabric of the entire nation. Punjab's dissenting voice isn't just some historical footnote in India's democratic story. Actually, scratch that. It's not a footnote at all. It is part of the plot. It isn't some weird anomaly that needs to be fixed. It is a foundational, baked-in feature. Dissent, dialogue, democracy. Punjab has always known the fundamental difference between just making noise and making meaning, and man, that is a lesson worth carrying forward. It leaves us with a really critical question to reflect on as we wrap up today. What happens to a democracy when it loses the courage to let its citizens ask the difficult questions? Take a second to really think about that. Thank you so much for joining me.
संवैधानिक लोकतंत्र का हिस्सा बना, अपनी बात शांतिपूर्वक रखने का अधिकार. In a democracy, a citizen's voice must never become a reason for fear.